1 gram is equivalent to 1 milliliter. So, here although your weight of soil will be in gram, the milliliters can be also converted into grams. Now tell me, where do you think the percolation will be highest? Obviously in the sandy soil, because the particles are very large and there are adequate sized gaps between these particles. And clay particles will be heavy because absorption of water is more in the clay particles. The gaps are less, so water remains between the gaps for much longer time and the soil is able to absorb it. So, this is how we can decide the crops that can be grown on different type of soil. What is the requirement of the soil as per the water, or you can say what is the water requirement of the crop. Depending upon that, we select the soil. Now, for example, for growing wheat, we need water also. So, of course, the loamy soil is the best, but even clay soil with humus is fine. But in the case of paddy, it requires clay soil because its water requirement is very high. That is why paddy is also a kharif crop and it is grown during the rainy season when there is naturally lot of water available. So, the entire field has to be filled with water for growing of paddy. For pulses, again loamy or loam clay soil, and for cotton sandy soil or sandy loam soil. So, whenever a farmer is deciding the crop, he first checks out what kind of soil is available, how much of fertility is available, then only the crop is decided. That is why we find that certain crops are more prevalent in certain areas, like wheat and rice is very heavily grown in states like Punjab and Haryana, while groundnut and cotton is grown in Gujarat and even parts of Haryana. And cotton is also famously grown in Maharashtra, which has black soil. So, soil has a definite relation with the kind of crop that can be grown in that soil. Just as plants need soil, soil also needs plants, because when there are no vegetation and there are no plants, then the wind and as well as rainwater, they are able to remove the top soil, that is the top layer of the soil. It just gets washed away, and you have just studied that top soil is the most fertile part of the soil and it supports plants. So, what will happen if this gets washed away? The plants will not grow. And when vegetation is there, then the roots of the plants, they bind the soil and they also slow down the rate of wind as well as running rainwater. As a result, the erosion does not take place and the soil is conserved. So, now you understand the relation between vegetation and soil. If you want plants, then soil has to be fertile, and if you want soil to remain fertile, then you must grow plants. The barren land becomes desert very fast, and that is what is called desertification. So, if we want to prevent desertification, then there has to be soil conservation. But before that, what is soil erosion? The removal of top soil by the action of wind and water is called soil erosion. So, we have to avoid deforestation. It is the forests that also help us to conserve soil. vegetation wherever possible. We should never leave the ground or the earth naked without vegetation, because then it will just become a barren land. So, wherever possible, grow plants.